Positions!
Action.
Enough of your tyranny, Chatur Singh.
I will live on. And so will my rule.
Cut. What the hell are you guys doing?
Welcome to Satyameva Jayate. We inaugurate our show today in the presence of some special guests. 4 talented childhood friends who proved that friendship could motivate you to achieve more. Give it up for Mr. Rashmit Thakral, Mr. Kshitij Chakravarti, Mr. Prashant Sakhalkar, and Miss Roshni Venkat. We are extremely honored to have you all with us today. Kshitij sir, big fan.
The pleasure's all mine. To be on a show of this stature with my childhood friends, it feels surreal.
Sir, take us back to where it started. When did you realize your passion for writing?
Well, I had this bad habit of cooking up stories since my childhood. You know, kids, they like to make up stories. Say, like, there's a ghost in the chemistry lab. I'm a superhero, but I can't show my powers in the public. That kind of thing, yeah. I was very observant though. I used to recognize patterns in the simplest of things and weave elaborate stories out of them. And one day I learned that you can get paid for polishing and publishing your own lies. Had I known this any earlier, I wouldn't have gone through the hell called engineering.
I love your sense of humor, Mr. Chakravarti. I'm sure so do the audience. Okay, Ashmit ji, our audience wants to know you. Would you...
Hello, I'm Ashmit Thakral, as you all might have heard. I'm a lawyer and a specialist in criminal law.
And a rather good one at that, I must add. We've seen you a lot in the news lately. The Rajesh Trivedi firearms possession case, for one.
He has had a passion for law since we were in the 11th standard. And back then, Ashmit had a few close calls. So he decided to study law to safeguard himself in the future.
Close calls?
He got suspended for stealing samosas from the school canteen once. The genius he was, he figured that he must know the law to escape being caught with the samosas the next time.
Samosas.
Jokes apart, something as petty as that couldn't have possibly motivated me. I come from a small village just south of Patiala. There were hardly any courts there, but more injustice than you could ever imagine. I grew up through a time where people would end up in jail for no fault of theirs.
You're a criminal lawyer, right? Doesn't all the victims' pain and suffering get to you eventually? You know, the Ashmit Takral hi thing.
No, I haven't been as fortunate as you to receive that kind of a welcome.
The lies we tell ourselves. On a serious note though, you've never really felt that pain? My heart bleeds at such sides. It's like you're standing there helplessly.
We all know you're a good writer, Kshitij. You don't have to prove it.
I grew up in such an environment. Having to witness injustice as a 10-year-old broke a piece of me that I still haven't been able to fix. But you're forced to get used to it eventually. This is why I took up law, so I could play my part in providing justice to afflicted families, so that no other child will have a childhood like mine.
Huge respect, sir. It is such an honor to be interacting with you today. Moving on, Encounter Specialist Sakhalkar, Hero Cop.
Well, I am just doing my duty, ma'am.
Your record proves otherwise. 67 encounters in 15 years.
I must say I'm proud that Mumbai sleeps peacefully because of people like us.
Sure we do. Don't we, Mumbai? Prashant sir, I'm sure you'll agree, but the police doesn't get paid as much as they should, at least in India. Yet you joined the police force and today you're an SP. What was your motivation?
Selvira, this is where your complete generation is wrong. Like, not everything is about money, and all of that is superficial. At the end of the day, the thing that matters the most is job satisfaction. I had a goal too, just like Ashmit mentioned. And even in our childhood, we swore a vow to each other saying that we would help the people attain justice. And I'm so happy, I'm so proud of myself to be living up to that. I think that every person has a right to justice, and I myself want to play a very important role in that process. That is all I care about. But of course, it takes a public servant's heart to understand that.
We stand by that oath till date.
Yes,
Your numbers are pretty impressive. Is the crime rate too high? Or are there other factors in play?
What are you suggesting, Miss Alvira?
No, nothing. I was just asking a general question. Civilians need to be aware of the crime rates in their areas.
Personally, I have huge respect for the police. In fact, my dad was in the police too. We have a fantastic police force, and as long as we have officers like Sakhalkar, I don't think there's any reason to worry.
you're too kind, Roshni.
Acha, Roshni ma'am. First of all, heartiest congratulations on your filmfare. Girgit was an amazing film for a directorial debut. I mean, your creativity is on a whole other level.
Thank you.
Arey, I told her to cast me as the male lead character. It easily would have won the Oscar then.
Interesting, interesting. She did cast you as the lead in Sazish, right?
Yes, she did.
There is no reason to complain then, sir. So, what motivated you to take up filmmaking, Roshni ma'am?
Well, storytelling is an art that I've always enjoyed. In fact, my best friend urged me to take it up as my career, and here I am.
That's sweet. Ma'am, if I'm not mistaken, you had directed your very first short film when you were in high school? And you had won an award for that too at a regional film festival?
Yeah, that's correct. Sazish was my first attempt at directing.
You all lost a mutual friend around that time? I'm sorry for your loss, but continuing your short film despite that.
He died before we could even start filming.
Yeah. It was hard for us to shoot after that. But we kept ourselves going.
He was a gem of a person. We decided to dedicate Sadish to him, to honor his love for films.
You know, he was somebody who would always push us to achieve more. He was the one who asked me to pursue a career in filmmaking. Everything that I am today is because of him. And he's even around to see it.
How did he die though?
Honestly, we don't know what happened, Like he was standing there in his costume, laughing and horsing around, and then suddenly he fainted. Before we knew what happened, he was gone.
We realized his dream. I'm sure he's proud and at peace wherever he is.
Right. This cloud too had a silver lining. Sazish won the film festival.
It's easy to find the silver lining in someone else's cloud, but not quite when it's your own.
We actually have a small clipping from your film. Would you mind if I shared it?
I will live on. And so will my rule.
Cut! What the hell are you guys doing? I said cut. You can get up now.
Arush, he's not breathing. Shruti, Shitij, Ashmit.
Arush died before you could start filming. Is that correct, Mr. Thakral? Because this clipping proves otherwise.
Can we please talk about something else?
I think we are deviating here. How is any of this relevant?
No, sir. It is relevant, with all due respect. Sazish was Roshni Madam's first film. It deserves to be talked about more. Especially when without it, none of you would be where you are today.
You mean how his death motivated us to complete our film and pack the award?
Yeah, sure.
What do you mean?
I mean, maybe Arush didn't have a cardiac arrest that day.
Again, what are you suggesting?
We all heard a gunshot.
Are you out of your mind? Have you ever heard of something called props?
Mr. Chakravarti, there is no reason to get so worked up.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but do you even hear yourself? Do you realize the impact of such outrageous allegations? Clearly you don't. And all this is just a ruse to get us to admit something we didn't do. Or maybe to bump up your TRP. Do you think we're a bunch of fools not to notice that by now? Huh? Well, I'm not. I don't have to put up with this freak show anymore.
He's right. We did not come up here to be defamed and accused of crimes we would not even dare to commit.
But the fact remains, Mr. Sakhalkar, that Arush was murdered.
He wasn't. We wouldn't.
He was, Mr. Sakhalkar. Perhaps one of your friends here keep a secret. Or maybe you do.
You have no proof. You can't simply accuse us like that.
Kshitij, stay quiet.
I do, Mr. Chakravarti, and I know who killed him. It's only a matter of time.
Kshitij, no!
No, you don't. This is some sort of test. You're just trying to get us to throw each other under the bus.
His post-mortem report.
What post-mortem reports? They never found his body.
Another word! Kshitij!
How do you know they never found his body?
Because he fell off the bloody cliff.
I thought he had a cardiac arrest. Prashant sir, Aayush was cast as the lead in Sazish, right? And you were the antagonist? You shot him to get his role. Or maybe got someone else to shoot him. To keep your name clear. Am I right, Mr. Chakravarti?
He was like a brother to me. I would never do such a thing just for a stupid role. Please don't degrade our friendship with such allegations.
You then became a police officer to ensure that Aarush's case never reopened. And what about you, Mr. Thakral? You took up law to protect yourself and your friends in the rare occasion that this case made it to the court, right? You said it yourself. There were no courts in your areas. But you didn't want to take any chances. Isn't that correct? Kshitij sir, you had a go at the gun after Prashant, didn't you? Must have been fun to take an innocent's life. All this bullshit about wanting justice for everyone. What purpose did it serve?
I fired the shot. It was me. It wasn't Prashant. I shot Aayush dead. I held the gun up in my hands and fired blanks. I brought his body to the end of the cliff and dumped it down. I started the rumor that Aayush slipped off a cliff after having a cardiac arrest. I was good at cooking up stories, I told you. It wasn't hard for me to come up with this one. Me. It was me. And people believed me. Because I was such a flawless storyteller. As was Roshni. Actually, as is Roshni. And now, perhaps we all should listen to the story Roshni told you, Alvira. Yes, Roshni?
I didn't.
You did. And here's how I know it. You didn't see Prashant fire the shot. You saw me, which is what Miss Alvira speculated too.
That's ridiculous.
Let me finish, Roshni. You established a false motive for Prashant, came up with all these bullshit backstories for all her careers, conveniently leaving out the central piece of the jigsaw puzzle.
Which is?
The gun was her father's. Uncle was in the police like she mentioned before. I must say, I got to thank you for mentioning that, Roshni. So she brought it to the shoot location as a prop. Even told poor Prashant that it had its safety on. Prashant was too scared to fire it even as a prop. She disappeared around the time we were to shoot this scene, leaving the direction in the hands of Eddie, ensuring a witness. After Prashant fired the shot, Aayush dropped to the ground.
We then realized what had happened. Kshitij panicked and snatched the gun from Prashant, and he started firing blanks into the sky till he emptied it. That is when Roshni came. Seeing gun at Kshitij's hand, she made her own version of what had happened. It all makes sense now.
And Aayush's death provided her with the clout she needed for the regional film festival. She basked with her success in the limelight of his death.
How is any of this relevant? They're all conspiracy theories at best, to save their own skins. I didn't do anything. And all of this still doesn't change the fact that Prashant was the one who fired the shot.
He was simply the medium, Roshni. His only fault was that he took you by your word when you told him that the gun had its safety on.
And just to clear everything up, Ashmi didn't take up law to save his own skin. He did it to save others from meeting a fate like ours. I'm sure you must have heard about the Rajesh Trivedi firearm possession case. And Prashant took up a job with the police even though it pays less because he too wanted to save lives just like Ashmit. I became a writer because whenever I made up a new story, Aayush would be the most happiest person on earth. We all lived with guilt every second of our life. It made us miserable. But we had different ways of channelizing that guilt, and none of that involved throwing childhood friends under the bus.
All our lives, Roshni. All our lives, we keep reliving a lie just to keep you out of trouble. And you stab us so horribly in the back. Why? Just why?
Fine. I wasn't even at the scene of the crime. You guys did it. I could have gotten you arrested long back. But I didn't. I made sure nobody spoke of this. But you guys want to pin all the blame on me? Then sure, go ahead by all means. I'm not going to run this show anymore. I'm sorry. I have a reputation in this film industry, and I'm not going to let three nobodies tarnish it like this. This is not how it was supposed to go, Elvira. I'll make sure that producers take strict action against you. And as for my supposed friends, I'll hire the best lawyers, and I'll be filing a defamatory case against the three of you. I'll see you guys in court.
Being in the film industry does not make you superior to others. You don't automatically get a clean sheet. You are about to get as likely to be punished for this, just like any other commoner. If you didn't do this, then why are you getting all defensive now? Yes, Roshni? And what lawyers? You just lost yourself the best lawyer. I refuse to represent you anymore. You killed our best friend just to sensationalize your films. I don't think so any lawyer can save you, even if you're a minor back then. Anyways, thank you for the invitation, Roshni. I will see you in court.
A very interesting turn of events, I must say. The police must be on their way now. They might just have to take a little detour.
Where were they headed originally?
Prashant sir's home.
So this is why I got a call earlier. For suspension. You tipped them off.
Kshitij sir, how did you figure out Roshni was behind all of it?
I'm just good at identifying patterns.
But how?
Where else would you have gotten the deleted clipping from?
Truth, Unmay, Sach, Nijam, Satya. We believe what we perceive is what must be. That isn't always the case though. Roshni madam's case, for example. Often we end up doing things in the pretense that nobody is watching. But in a country of 1.3 billion people, do you really think nobody is watching? Even if you would like to believe no one is, the one above is definitely watching. 24/7, 365 days. Crimes never go unnoticed. Perpetrators never escape unpunished. Justice may be delayed, but justice will never be denied. The one above makes sure of that. You and I both know what truth is, what power it wields, and there is only so long anyone can hide it. That is, unless you wish to join us as a guest for our next episode. This is your host Alvira Kashyap signing off. The truth shall prevail. Satyameva Jayate.